At our baby shower, my sister-in-law snatched the mic and announced, "I should have been the mother of this child." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, until I saw the birth certificate she had filed. My husband gasped, "What have you done?" I pulled out my own surprise, and she collapsed. I never thought a day meant for joy and celebration would spiral into a nightmare that would haunt me forever. But here I am, sharing a story so surreal that even now, it feels like a twisted dream I can't wake up from. Tiwi decided to host our baby shower at Aaron's Pavilion in Springfield, Illinois. The venue was perfect, spacious, with large windows allowing natural light to flood the room, and a beautiful terrace overlooking the lake. Friends and family gathered, their laughter and chatter filling the air, as we celebrated the impending arrival of our first child. The tables were adorned with pastel decorations, and a buffet of delicious food lined one side of the room. It was the picture-perfect setting for what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of our lives. As the afternoon sun began to dip, casting a warm glow over the gathering, my sister-in-law, Jessica, stood up and tapped a spoon against her glass, signaling for attention. The room gradually quieted, all eyes turning to her. With a nervous smile, I anticipated a heartfelt toast or a humorous anecdote. Instead, her words sliced through the air like a dagger. "I should have been the mother of this child," Jessica announced, her voice steady and unwavering. A stunned silence enveloped the room. I let out an awkward laugh, convinced this was some ill-conceived joke. But as I met Jessica's gaze, the seriousness in her eyes sent a chill down my spine. The atmosphere shifted from celebratory to tense in an instant. After the party, unable to let the incident slide, Mark and I confronted Jessica. We found her sitting alone on the terrace, the cool evening breeze rustling her hair. Her face was streaked with tears, her earlier bravado replaced by vulnerability. "Jessica, what was that about?" Mark's voice was a mix of concern and frustration. She looked up, eyes pleading. "I've loved you for years, Mark." Before you even met her, she gestured towards me. "I always thought we'd end up together. When I found out you were having a baby, something inside me just snapped. I felt the ground shift beneath me. This was beyond anything I could have imagined. But the nightmare was far from over. A week later, we received a letter from the county's Vital Records office. It was a confirmation of a birth certificate filing. Confused, as our baby hadn't been born yet, we opened it to discover that Jessica had filed a birth certificate, listing herself as the mother and Mark as the father of our unborn child. Mark's face turned ashen as he read the document. "What has she done?" he whispered, disbelief evident in his voice. Rage bubbled within me. This wasn't just a delusion. This was a calculated move to stake a claim on our child. Determined to protect our family, we sought legal counsel immediately. Our lawyer was appalled, but assured us that the fraudulent document would not hold up in court. We filed for a restraining order against Jessica, providing evidence of her unstable behavior and the fraudulent birth certificate. When the authorities served her the restraining order, Jessica collapsed onto her porch, sobbing uncontrollably. It was a pitiful sight, but my sympathy was overshadowed by the need to safeguard my family. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal proceedings and emotional turmoil. Jessica was mandated to undergo psychological evaluation and therapy. Family gatherings became strained, with relatives taking sides, some accusing us of overreacting, others supporting our actions. Mark was racked with guilt, blaming himself for not recognizing the signs earlier. Our once joyous anticipation of our child's birth was now marred by anxiety and mistrust. As months passed, with therapy, Jessica began to show signs of improvement. She reached out, expressing remorse for her actions and the pain she caused. While forgiveness wasn't immediate, we recognized the importance of healing, not just for us, but for the future of our family. The experience left scars, but it also taught us the importance of vigilance, open communication, and the unpredictable nature of human emotions. As we prepared to welcome our child into the world, we did so with a renewed sense of caution and an unwavering commitment to protect our family, no matter the cost. We thought things were settling down. We thought the storm had passed. We were wrong. A few months after filing the restraining order, things went quiet. Too quiet. Jessica stopped calling. She didn't show up at family events. Even her social media went dead. Everyone assumed she was healing or at least giving us space. Mark tried to move on. I tried to focus on my pregnancy. But deep inside, I had this tight knot of dread in my stomach that wouldn't go away. Something didn't feel right. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was 7.5 months pregnant, home alone while Mark was at work. The phone rang. Unknown number. I usually ignore those, but this time, I picked up. All I heard was breathing. Then a whisper, "You'll never be the real mother." I froze. The line went dead. My heart raced. I called Mark. He left work right away and rushed home. We reported the call, but the police said without proof, there wasn't much they could do. I changed all our locks again. Got security cameras installed. Stopped going out alone. We went for a routine OB appointment, and the receptionist looked confused when we checked in. She asked, "Didn't you already come in this morning?" "No," I said, confused. She showed us the paperwork. Someone had checked in under my name. They gave my birth date, my insurance. They even knew the name of my doctor. She said the woman left before being seen. I felt cold all over. Jessica had been there, pretending to be me. That night, Mark and I sat down and made a full list of everything she knew: our doctor, hospital, due date, even what brand of stroller we picked. The realization hit hard. She could try to steal the baby. Not in some movie-style way, but legally. Slowly. She had tried once already by filing a fake birth certificate. What if she had another plan? Jessica had hired an attorney and filed for anticipated parental rights. She was claiming that she and Mark had an agreement, that she would be the mother of the baby, and I was just the surrogate. It was insane. But the language in the filing was formal, cold, and somehow convincing. She said we had used her eggs, which was a lie. I was carrying my child. There was no surrogacy, no fertility clinic, nothing. Our lawyer went pale when he saw the documents. This could get dragged into a court battle if the judge doesn't toss it immediately. I was 8 months pregnant and now faced with a possible custody hearing before my baby was even born. Here's where it got messy. Some of Mark's family, people I trusted, started doubting me. His aunt, his cousin, even his mom. "She's been through a lot," they said about Jessica. "Maybe you're being too harsh. Maybe there was an agreement and you changed your mind." It was like a slow betrayal. Tiny cuts every time someone made excuses for her. A private investigator, hired by our lawyer, uncovered footage of Jessica meeting with someone at a clinic across town. Not an OB clinic, a fertility center. She had been trying to gather fake documents to make her lie seem real. She even tried to bribe a nurse. The footage showed her crying, saying she was the real mother and her evil sister-in-law was stealing her child. She was unhinged. We got a copy to the judge. Our lawyer filed for emergency protection. But it wasn't enough. When my water broke, we rushed to Memorial Medical Center in Springfield. I was exhausted, scared, but ready to meet our baby. We had warned the hospital in advance. Showed them court documents. Told them not to let Jessica anywhere near me. Labor was hard. Long. I was in there for hours. But when I finally held my daughter in my arms, everything else faded away until the nurse came in pale as a ghost. "Someone just tried to check into your room using your name." I looked at Mark. He was already out the door, yelling for security. They caught Jessica in the hallway wearing scrubs. She had stolen a badge from a real nurse. She had a hospital bracelet she made herself. She even had a fake ID. They arrested her. This time, no warning. No talking. No sympathy. But I knew this wasn't over. Because the moment they dragged her away, she looked me straight in the eye and smiled. There was more coming. And I had no idea what it was. After Jessica was arrested at the hospital, I thought that had to be the end of it. Surely trying to impersonate hospital staff and steal a newborn would land her in jail for a long time. Right? Wrong. She made bail the same night. Her lawyer argued mental instability, that she wasn't a danger to others, and that she needed medical treatment, not prison. The judge agreed. She was ordered to attend inpatient psychiatric care at a private facility her parents paid for. I was livid. Our daughter, Ellie, was just 6 days old when the letter came. It was a cease and desist. Jessica was now suing us for defamation. Her lawyer claimed we lied about her, that we smeared her character publicly, and that we manipulated digital evidence to frame her. She demanded a public apology, $250,000 in damages, and joint recognition as a parental figure. It was insanity. But the lawsuit meant one thing: she was still watching us, tracking us. Even from inside a psych facility, she was finding ways to reach into our lives. At our front door, a complaint had been filed. Someone reported us for child endangerment and neglect. The worker wouldn't say who. It was anonymous, but the claims were almost word-for-word things Jessica had said in her previous legal filings. That night, I barely slept. I held Ellie close, rocking her while staring at the door, terrified it would open and someone would take her from me. We were going through evidence with our lawyer, trying to prepare for the lawsuit, when something popped up in Mark's email, a message from years ago. It was from Jessica, before we were married. It was flirty, suggestive. Mark never replied, but it was enough for her lawyer to spin it as proof that Mark led her on, that she had reason to believe they had a future together. The emails made Mark look weak, and the lawyer's narrative was brutal. Jessica wasn't unstable, the lawyer claimed. She was heartbroken. Betrayed. Manipulated by a man who got her hopes up. We knew the truth, but they twisted it just enough to muddy everything. Out of nowhere, Mark's grandfather passed away. A man I barely knew, who had mostly stayed out of the family drama. He left behind a sizable estate, and guess who was named in the will? Jessica. She was to inherit $100,000 if she had a child of Mark's bloodline. That was the moment everything clicked into place. Jessica wasn't just obsessed, she was after that money. That inheritance. Her delusion had a goal. She believed that if she could somehow convince the court, the family, the world that she had a right to our baby, she could claim the money. She had filed the fake birth certificate before the will was even opened. This wasn't just emotional. It was calculated. We were told it was just to review motions related to the lawsuit, but as we sat in court, Jessica walked in wearing a maternity-style dress. And she was pregnant. Or pretending to be. She held her stomach with this smug little smile. Her lawyer announced she would be withdrawing the lawsuit because there was new evidence. Jessica was expecting a child with genetic ties to the father of the original baby. The judge looked stunned. I stood up. That's a lie. She's faking it. Jessica just stared at me, calm and creepy. I used his sample, she said. From before they were married. We were blindsided. Apparently, years ago, Mark had done a 23andMe test. Jessica got access to it. Don't ask me how. And she used that data to submit a fake fertility request, claiming to be his partner. She paid some backdoor clinic online, got a confirmation letter, not a real insemination, just a receipt, and now she was trying to spin it as if she had used Mark's DNA to create a child. It was fiction. But it was so carefully fabricated, so many fake layers, that our lawyer said it might fool a court if we weren't careful. And worst of all, if she actually managed to get pregnant with someone else and claimed it was Mark's, we'd have to go through paternity testing just to defend ourselves again. I couldn't breathe. And just when we thought we had seen every move, she disappeared. Gone. Left the facility. Phone off. Socials deleted. Her apartment? Empty. It's been 3 weeks now. No one knows where she went. Not even her parents. But I have a bad feeling. We've locked down everything: cameras, security, even sleeping with alarms by the bed. But every time the baby monitor crackles or the doorbell rings unexpectedly, I feel it in my chest. She's not done. She's out there. And she still thinks our baby belongs to her. 3 months passed and Jessica was still gone. At least, that's what we thought. I started sleeping better. I stopped jumping at every sound. Ellie was growing, smiling, cooing. We were finally getting a taste of the peace we'd been robbed of. Mark was back at work. I was easing into motherhood. Things were stable. Until one Tuesday afternoon. I picked Ellie up from daycare like usual. She went 3 times a week, half days, just so I could get some work done and sleep. When I walked in, the manager looked confused. I thought Mark picked her up already. My heart stopped. He hadn't. She was gone. Security cameras showed a woman in a nurse's outfit picking Ellie up. The fake ID badge said authorized pickup, family health nurse. The staff had seen her before. She showed up last week, checking on Ellie's routine. We hadn't sent anyone. It was Jessica. Again. We called the police. The FBI. Everybody. An Amber Alert went out. Mark was barely breathing. I was screaming, crying, throwing up, everything at once. I kept whispering, she's gone. She took her. She actually took her. They traced the car, a rented SUV. Hours later, they found it abandoned on Route 66, halfway between Springfield and St. Louis. But no Jessica. No Ellie. Turns out, she was smarter than we gave her credit for. She had used an underground network, people online, mostly conspiracy freaks and anti-government types, to help her rescue her baby from the evil family that stole her. She told them I was a trafficker, that I was holding her baby against her will. She spun this whole fake story on forums and chat rooms, got strangers to believe her, to help her disappear. We didn't know any of this until I did something desperate. I went online. I found one of the forums. I made a fake profile, pretended I was a single mom who lost her baby to a fake surrogate. Within 2 days, I got a message from her. She didn't recognize me. Not at first. She said her name was Marla. Claimed she was on the run with her baby because the government is trying to erase real mothers. I kept her talking. I fed the delusion. I said, I understand. I want to help. I've been through the same thing. And then I said the one thing that turned everything. I have a safe house. Come there. You'll be protected. She gave me a location. She walked into the trap I built for her. She showed up at a seedy motel off I-70 outside Kansas City. She was thinner, dirty, worn down, holding Ellie in her arms. Ellie was crying, red-faced, starving. Jessica had been feeding her goats milk and crackers. She walked into the motel room and froze when she saw me. Her face dropped. I looked at her and I swear, everything stopped. You lied to everyone, I said. You stole my baby. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just held Ellie tighter and said, I made her. I willed her into being. You were just the oven. That was when the police stormed in. Guns drawn. Screaming. Ellie was pulled from her arms. Jessica was thrown to the ground. And still, she screamed, she's mine. Jessica was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison for kidnapping, fraud, impersonation, and identity theft. She also violated the protection order, among a dozen other charges. But it didn't end there. Mark's mom had been secretly helping her, giving her updates, passing her info. She got charged with obstruction and aiding a fugitive. My biggest mistake? Not seeing it sooner. I let her near us. I let my guard down after the first incident. I didn't listen to that voice in my gut, the one that knew Jessica was more than unstable, that she was dangerous. I spent too long trying to make peace when I should have prepared for war. When we got Ellie checked out at the hospital after the rescue, the doctor looked at me and said, she's lucky to be alive. Another day, maybe less, she would have gone into shock. Malnourished. Severely dehydrated. Jessica didn't just steal her. She almost killed her. And the inheritance? Gone. The will was contested. Jessica was removed as a beneficiary. But Mark, he took it hard. The betrayal. The guilt. He started seeing a therapist. He never looked at his family the same again. We moved after that. New house. New town. New names on everything. But every night before I close my eyes, I still check the locks 3 times. And when I hold Ellie, I whisper, you're safe. You're mine. Because some monsters don't live under the bed. They live in your own family. And sometimes, they wear a smile while planning to take everything you love.